You know what I think I need more of? Pockets. In my last video, I made a pair of gardening overalls. I think there was one thing missing that really could have taken it up a notch: pockets. So the idea that I have is to make a gardening apron. I always wanted one of those heavy-duty canvas aprons, but I haven't always wanted to pay for it, because why pay for something when you can spend more money and make it yourself? So the plan is to do some research and see if I can find any patterns. I know I have some waxed canvas, I have webbing, and the belt buckles. Let's go see what we can find. I actually have some waxed canvas that I bought years ago, and I still have plenty of it left. It is a little bit thinner than I think I would like, so I'm wondering if I'm going to need to double it up or if it'll be fine on its own. The reason I really like a waxed canvas here is because it's water resistant. I think it's gonna work really well. It does say that this material shouldn't be used outside for a super long time because it does have a wax on it, and wax melts in high heat. I'm gonna make this apron for when I need to do all the planting, but what about when I do all the harvesting? I'm gonna need something to be able to carry all the vegetables inside, and if I don't wanna use a basket, because most of the time I go outside on a lunch break or whenever and just pick whatever's available, and I just pile it right in my shirt here. Not the best treatment of my regular day-to-day clothes. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make a harvesting apron as well. So there's gonna be two aprons in this project. The first one, the waxed canvas apron, and the second one, a harvest garden apron. I'm thinking I can make the harvest apron out of a more lighter canvas fabric. I think this would be really cute, and it's still lightweight enough that it's not gonna be too heavy, but I still want it to be sturdy enough to hold all the vegetables that I'm gonna be harvesting. I think it's gonna work the best, be the best material, and it's just gonna look really cute because it's garden themed. So I guess I can't procrastinate any longer. Let's roll out this fabric and get to marking. I found two blogs that have a tutorial on how to make a utility or work apron. The first one is from Sailrite, and it looks exactly what I'm looking for. That first tutorial also comes with a video tutorial, so if you want to make one yourself, you can just follow that tutorial. It doesn't give you any templates. You basically just have to figure out what size pockets you want. The second one is from We All Sew. The reason I like this one is because it had a split leg option, and I'm pretty sure I want to do that because I want that mobility and freedom of movement. The last blog I found is for the harvesting apron. For that apron, it is laid out on the exact measurements that you need to cut. I think all three of those are gonna work really well, and see what I can come up with. I think that's gonna work. All right, let's work on the pockets. I have 3 pockets planned and 1 tool loop, but I'm thinking I want 2 tool loops. From all the gardening tools that I have, I think I want to carry a pair of like pruning shears, as well as my weeder tool that I have. So I think having 2 tool loops is going to be best. As for the pockets themselves, I think they're going to be fine as they are. I'm going to have 1 bigger pocket right around the waist area, and then there's going to be an additional pocket on top of that to hold some smaller items, and then another chest pocket where I can put plant marker tags in there. Some of the things that I use more of when I'm actually planting out my flowers. For the last part of this pocket piece, for the big one, I want to make 2 cutouts on either corner. That way when I sew it across the top and the sides and the bottom, I'll have a nice spot where I can put some seeds or just put my hands if I need to take a break. So I am going to measure out 4 inches from each corner up here, and then 7 inches from the bottom on either side, and then use a curve and cut out the pocket pieces so that way I can have a spot for my hands to slip through. Now what kind of a curve do I want here? More dramatic or more subtle? I think I want to use a more subtle curve. That way I won't lose as much space in the actual pocket itself if it was a more dramatic curve. Although the drama is fun, this is going to be a utility apron. So I think the less dramatic and more subtle of a curve, the better. I'll probably fold that in half and just cut it out together. Okay. Looks good to me. That's gonna be, again, right about here. Stick my hands in my pockets. Should be good. I already messed up. Since I decided to make this a split apron pattern, I should have added a vent in the front so that way it would be able to kind of overlap and then open a little bit nicer than just if I were to leave a gap in the front. I didn't do that. I forgot to cut out the pattern piece with the vent added. So what I'm gonna do instead, here is where I was supposed to add this vented piece. I just cut out some extra material then, and I am going to sew these pieces on together. Hopefully it works. I don't care that there's going to be a seam now in the front and up here. That's fine. It's a utility apron, so it's not supposed to be pretty. But I'm hoping that with the seam allowance and everything, I didn't mess that up too much. So I'm going to get this piece attached to there and make sure all the seams look okay, and then get back to the pockets. So I need to put the webbing on the apron, but I don't have any brown webbing, and I don't want to use the black that I have in my stash because I feel like the contrast just might be too much. But what I do have is some white cotton webbing and some fabric dye. So we're gonna do a little experiment and try to dye this webbing brown, and hopefully it turns out so I can use it for the project. Otherwise I will just switch back to the black. So let's get started. I need to heat up some water and add all the ingredients, and then we'll see how it goes. Since we're just guessing on ratios, it's about a teaspoon, right? Well, my camera battery died while I was at the end of dyeing all the fabric and the straps. It did work. The straps turned out nice and brown. However, because I had to wash it after to wash out all the dye, they shrunk. I ended up ordering the nylon webbing off of Amazon, and I actually like the way it turned out better because I feel like it gives a more sleeker look. It's much easier to use with the buckles. So now I'm going to get started on the second apron, the harvest apron, and I think that one's gonna go really quickly because it's just a bunch of rectangles and gathering things, except for I think 2 buttonholes, but that's another story. Yeah, let's get started on the harvest apron. All right, voiceover Britta here. So when I was making this skirt, it really was a very simple design. It was just a bunch of rectangles that were cut basically twice the size that they needed to be so that way they could be gathered down. I did end up adding a lining layer here out of just a basic muslin cloth because I wanted that skirt portion to be more stabilized since that's what's going to be carrying the bulk of the vegetables. The actual sewing of this apron was very easy again because it was just a bunch of straight stitches and gathering stitches. Then I trimmed up all of my seams because it was already a bulkier fabric and I wanted it to lay just a little bit nicer, especially when I needed to add in the buttonholes. After I got the pieces sewn and flipped to the right side, I needed to press all the seams so that way it would lay flatter for when I needed to top stitch and hem and add in all the gathering stitches. really pleased with both of these aprons. They are both really handy and a sturdy fabric, and I love how the work apron has all the different pockets. I'm also really happy I went with the split leg design, and you really can't see my little mishap here where I forgot to add the pieces on originally. I think it looks totally fine. And I love how this harvest apron works with the bow and the different buttonholes at the bottom. The one thing that I would change is the tutorial that I got this harvest apron from said to make the waistband this wide, as well as put the ties more at the bottom. And I would have done that differently. I probably would have centered the ties into the middle and possibly made the waistband less wide. So I just feel like it's a little bit too thick, and there would actually be more stability in the waistband itself if it was more so the same thickness as the ties, and then you could just cut out one continuous piece. But that's just a small detail, and overall it functions very well. So if you want to make your own version of these aprons, either one, I will leave the links below to the original blogs and tutorials where I found the information, and I would love to see what you've made. So please tag me on Instagram at Atelier Britta. So that is it for this video. In my next video, I am going to be working on a more historical adjacent folkwear design. So if you want to see that, please hit that red subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you are notified when I release that video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.